Welcome to Trying to Conceive with Dr. Sasha Hackman, where we break down the science of fertility, share real patient stories, and explore the latest innovations in reproductive medicine. My name is Dr. Sasha Hackman, and I'm a double board certified OBGYN and reproductive endocrinologist and infertility specialist. I practice at HRC Fertility in Beverly Hills, but this podcast is an independent project created and hosted by me separate from my clinical work. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you want exclusive updates and resources, be sure to sign up for my newsletter. Just click the link in the episode description. Aggie is the best-selling author and certified nutrition and health coach, TEDx speaker, and viral wellness entrepreneur with over 1.5 million followers across social platforms. From starting as a travel influencer and sailing across the Pacific to building a global brand, Aggie's story is one of radical resilience and unstoppable reinvention. As the founder of Higher Self Academy and Biohacking Bestie, she's helped over 20,000 women transform their health, fitness, and mindset. Through her podcast, global TV appearances, and best-selling books, Insta Travel, and Biohack Like a Woman, Aggie empowers women to live by design, not by default. Today's episode is with Aggie Lal, who is not only a patient, but a dear friend of mine. We're going to talk about unexplained infertility, and we're going to take a deep dive into what it was like as a couple between her and her husband, Jacob, navigating infertility, how it impacts intimacy, the health and wellness tips that were used in order to optimize overall and reproductive health in preparation for pregnancy, what ultimately worked to get them pregnant, and how that pregnancy has been going, and the difficulty of dealing with some really serious symptoms, the dichotomy between being so grateful for a pregnancy, but also really struggling in that pregnancy. No, today I'm actually not operating, hence the dress, although I'll have to wear a white coat over it because of the cutout. I feel like, you can't be a doctor wearing something cut out.
No, because you have no organs. You know?
I have no life and I'm just a robot.
Oh my God, people are so funny.
Yes.
I think this is the last day I can wear this dress officially because it is.
It is gorgeous though.
Yes, but it's very tight. Thank you for zipping it up.
How many weeks are you now?
16.
Wow.
Today is starting 16.
So the last time I saw you was a month ago. It feels like longer.
It does feel longer. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I know.
Are you feeling better?
Much better and energy wise. Like there was up until week 12, I was like this, I feel, I might as well be dead. Like this, I just felt so little energy and now I feel better.
Good.
Now I have the heartburn. Nausea is not as bad, but the heartburn, it burns.
Yeah, it's brutal. Do you need a script for Protonics? Okay. We'll send it today.
I didn't realize I had a piece of chocolate with grapefruit, which are two things that apparently set it off really badly. Yeah. Oh my God. Yesterday evening, I was like, what do I do?
Brutal. I know. Yeah. I'm technically not supposed to be managing your pregnancy anymore, but I'll send you the script.
You can just leave it at CVS.
Yeah, exactly. I swear it's life-changing. I mean, managing the heartburn early on is going to make you feel like, okay, I can survive this.
Yeah, because I was as the nausea, I'm nausea is not so bad, but a new thing comes up. I think that's the cool thing about pregnancy. It's one thing goes away and then the new thing appears.
I know.
Keeps you on your toes.
I know. So, yeah. So, I actually was hoping that we can start off with you sort of giving your background, Jacob's background, even though he couldn't be here. We love him. We want to let everyone know about him, and then how you guys met. And I want to get into the whole breakup, what it was over, how you guys got back together, which led you to this point here today.
Oh, very cool. So we both travelers. Jacob's 8 years younger, but we both were travel influencers. We met on a job. We fell in love that very second, but because of the age difference, we're like, that could never work, but we're going to be friends. And so that friendship lasted about 3 years, and then pandemic came and he kept hitting on me, and I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with a younger man, because funnily enough, the only reason why you're scared of the age difference actually fertility, right?
Yeah.
You don't think about I'll die first. And I'm I would want to die first because, I don't want to be alone. So it's the biggest reason is always at the back of your mind. I was I want to make sure that I'm fertile.
Yeah.
And whenever he's ready, I'm going to have enough time.
Yeah.
That's
because
literally the only reason why we were like thinking about not getting together.
Wow. Yeah. Because younger guys are like, I want to take my time. And you're like, well, hello, I'm older.
Yes.
I don't have
and
that
so
kind
I was
of time.
already 33 when we got together. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, we know this is it. We're going to like, date for a little bit, like a year, and then we're going to have a baby. And then a year into dating, he's like, oh no, I was like, I'm not going to be married for another 5 years. I'm like, what do you mean? So I went and I was like, okay, cool. I should perhaps freeze my eggs. And that a little terrified me, the whole concept of freezing eggs. And the reason why it did is because no one was presenting it, no one was allowing me to make an informed decision. It was just like, it's so good for you. Don't worry, you'll be fine.
Interesting.
And I do appreciate when someone's like, okay, this might not feel comfortable, or this could be, it might not be an ideal situation. Because I feel like it was disempowering me. It's almost like an advertising of something that just has the upside. And I think more women would actually commit to freezing eggs if like listen to people like you who can walk them through everything. Yeah. And it feels like, okay.
Risks, benefits, alternatives, knowing everything there is to know. 100%.
And I think that's like the biggest thing with fertility is like, we just want to understand a little more because it's so new and so overwhelming and so like an absolute miracle. And we're just learning more and more, right? Like it's still like so much of the unknown, even for you guys.
Unknown.
Yeah. So we don't know. So it was like, that was my thing of like, I just felt like that fertility clinic felt a little bit like
salesy.
I felt like it was in a shopping mall and it just felt like another thing I would be buying. And I was just like a little terrified. I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I just got into biohacking. I was like, maybe I was low-key hoping that I wouldn't have to freeze my eggs and he will make up his mind. But, 4 years went by and he just didn't. He's like, I'm not really ready for the family. I want family, just not right now. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't have time for this. I'm 36. Let's break up. You do your thing. You still want to travel. I want to kind of like settle down. So we broke up, and then 6 months later, we met again in Bali. We had a place that we bought together, and we got together, and he was like, actually, I spent that 6 months traveling and doing what I thought I'm going to miss, and it doesn't really fulfill me. Like, I really want a family, so let's do it. I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to be the biggest mistake of my life or not. And so we, then we got engaged, got married, and...
So it's relatively quick.
It was finally,
back
quick.
Together.
Quick 7 years later. Quick after we got back together. And then obviously...
But you already had that foundation. Yes. You knew each other well, so it was easy to just move forward.
And I also want to say this, that I think it's really important, that like a lot of people think like, okay, reverse. After we got married, we're like, okay, let's try for a baby. And it didn't happen right away. And so... because of our history, I was like, oh, it's for sure my fault. I'm almost 37, almost 38. It must be my thing. I mean, I've been checking and I've been eating healthy and doing all of these things. But, he's only 29, so for sure it's not him. Yeah. And then because I know you and I know so many incredible doctors and our friends at WeNatal, and they're like, oh, you should both check, just out of curiosity. And so we checked Jacob's sperm.
I love that. They said that.
Yeah.
So great. And they're
like
big advocates for, men getting tested, which is great.
So our friend Ronit came to Jacob. He didn't know her. And she's like, hey, you don't know me, but I would like to talk to you about your sperm. How do we know if it's that good? Can we test? I was like, and Jacob's like, who is this woman? And so it turns out we tested and it ended up being suboptimal. And so that was like there were a few markers that were like the morphology wasn't right, the concentration, etc. And honestly, Jacob's started to share exactly what was wrong with his sperm. But it got to a point of like, oh, wow, like how ironic, because my entire life I thought it was going to be, my fault and my fertility issue. And now we had to wait, or we had to figure it out. And there was a part of me that I was like, you never know. Like, you never know. You can prepare so much, and yet you never know what's going to happen. And I think what's really important is that it's like, once you're married to somebody and want to make babies, it doesn't matter whose side is infertile, it's your fertility.
Yes, I love that you said that.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if it's a guy who's like, oh, it's Jacob's fault. It's like, it's not about fault. It's about, first of all, let's test without pointing fingers. Yeah. And if it's some challenges on his side, it's still our problem, right? Like, it's like we're in it together. And so we decided to speak to you, and you suggested, I was like, you said IVF is good. I'm like, what's like less invasive for me? Because I was like, and you said IUI, but because we didn't want to wait, because like we really want a baby, we're traveling, let's get it done in Bali.
Yes.
And that was a big mistake. So if anyone watching this, it doesn't matter who you do your IUI with.
Yeah, so
I would be sitting here with a belly this big and had sixlets or whatever they're called.
Sextuplets.
Sextuplets, yes, that's the word.
Yeah, that is definitely a risk you could have taken there, because just a little bit of medical context, you know, when I first spoke to you guys, I saw that, yes, Jacob had slightly low morphology. I was not too concerned about his sperm overall. And then hormonal testing honestly looked really phenomenal too. And so from a fertility doctor standpoint, I would still, you know, categorize this as unexplained infertility, where everything looks pretty good. You're both in good health. You're ovulating regularly. Your tubes are open. Uterus looks pristine. He has definitely enough sperm, but it just isn't really happening within that 6-month time span. But the treatment options are either you just keep trying to have sex, although that gives a pretty low yield of success, versus super ovulation is what the literature says, plus insemination, versus IVF. The advantage of the IUI is you're not coming in every few days for ultrasound, blood work. You're not injecting yourself every single day with medications, pumping up your hormone levels, dealing with the side effects of possibly hyperstimmy your ovaries after an egg retrieval. It's obviously very costly. Not everyone can access the cost aspect to it. And then it's not even a guarantee of having enough embryos for multiple siblings, sometimes not even a guarantee for one baby. But then the advantage of IUI when it works, it's so much less involved. It feels I would say it feels a lot more intimate still between you and your partner without feeling like sort of a science experiment as you're going through it. And I've experienced both sides of it, having gone through both. So, you know, it's amazing that the IUI worked. When we talk about superovulation, we talk about no more than really 2 follicles based on your age, because at 37, we still expect the eggs to be pretty good. Quantity drops, and obviously quality does too, but still 50% of a 37-year-old's eggs are pretty great. And I mean, I just did my IVF cycle, and half of our embryos were chromosomally normal. So I just fell perfectly on that statistic. But yeah, so I just wanted to give like listeners a background of what are the options if you're sort of in that category. But when I know that unexplained infertility can like really, you know, trigger a lot of people, because it's like, what does that even mean? Everything looks great. Did you ever, you know, sit back and feel like, aside from before any testing, thinking that it was your fault, were you ever sort of like, I'm so healthy, I live the ideal lifestyle, so what the hell's going on here? And kind of feel conflicted about, you know, you having such a public account about all of your lifestyle hacks. You're a biohacker. Did it feel off for you and weird, or did you sort of dissociate those two things?
It's so funny because it's a lot of times people look at me and I'm like, wow, you do so much. Like, how come you're struggling? And the answer is like, I live in this world, you know. I'm not isolated. There are biohackers that don't go out to restaurants, only live at their home, don't travel, like do 700 biohacks. That's not me. I travel 180 days a year. I have a home in Bali. We love to go out. We love living life. Like, I know I'm exposed to a bunch of toxins, you know, because I don't control every single meal. I don't control my environment, because to me, the stress and the obsession that comes with it. And I think we had this conversation earlier, that is like, you have to pick. You either become the person that gets super isolated from the environment and gets to say, I'm sure everything I eat, I breathe, and I touch is clean, or you live in LA and you try to live a normal life and have a glass of wine with a friend at a restaurant. And that leaves a lot to chance, right?
Yeah.
And to amount of toxins. And I think I think what's beautiful about biohacking, or, just taking care of your health, that there's so much we can do, but we don't have to do it all to the extreme. Because that's so heavy. And I feel like a lot of times you look at these people, I'm like, wow, if I want to do it, I have to do it right or not at all. I'm like, that's not my approach. I was like, I do just a little bit. And when I came across, I was like, oh, we can't get pregnant. I mean, we've tried for like 2 or 3 months, and it was like, I'm like, okay, let's test Jacob. Let's see what else let's test our heavy metals. Let's see my, my blood work, and just find out what the issue could be, like what is my thyroid levels, et cetera, et cetera. So like, I didn't feel like it's something that I can't figure out. I also believe there's a lot of like emotional, energetical issues that can have, and like making space for the baby in your head and in your life and energetically. So it didn't feel like something that just wouldn't happen. I was like, okay, it's not the right time. The baby's not ready to come yet. And I trust the timing of the universe, even though everything in my books is like for yesterday, I was like, I want to have a baby right now. But at the same time, I was like, oh, well, I think this is what motherhood and pregnancy teaches you, that you can have your own schedule. But at the end of the day, there is also, the universe's
like a
schedule.
higher power.
Yeah. That like we have no really control over, and trying to figure it out. But I think what was beautiful, that if we got to, and I just like in terms of like a gift, because we often think that our fertility journeys are cursed. Like, how come these people got pregnant on their honeymoon and I had to wait 6 months? But for me, I'm like, it made me and Jacob so much closer. I feel like if we got pregnant right away, he wouldn't be as involved of a father. I think that seeing that maybe, his inflammation levels and his sperm, and how much his sperm will impact the quality of my pregnancy, made him like appreciate that a little more,
like, and take ownership of his health.
He was like, oh shit, it actually does matter. What we're the 50% that I'm providing. And I think it wouldn't happen if we just got pregnant. It was such a blessing, because he was like involved. He got to be a part of the IUI, and I love, I just want to say, and then like really, really honor my husband. We didn't have to share that. Like, you never pressured us. I was like, guys, we'd love to do a podcast about your fertility journey. Like, we were choosing to share that, to give people hope and see that it's like possible. But not everyone has this perfect journey. So a lot of couples that I know that are hiding their fertility journey because they're embarrassed, or they're like, oh, because I'm a health expert, I don't want to share that journey because it's not on brand, I guess. But for me, it was just like, it's super on brand. It shows that you can actually make it work, Yeah. And so it depends how you look at it. For me, it was just like a proof that this is everything is almost like figure outable. Totally. And just not maybe on our timing, but just
I love that you also just, own the fact that there's a lot of things we can't control in our environment on a cellular level. You got to live life. You balance it with enjoying life as much as you can. You only have one to live. Yeah. So you might as well have fun. And I remember, like, even for us, when we first started our fertility journey, I was really intense. I was very strict, very hardcore. We'd go out to restaurants. I'd be the only one that didn't eat. And my husband was like, this is not fun for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was the same. And I think that we both learned that it's like, we make it so heavy for people around us, because they feel judged. They feel like, wow, it's not fun for you. Like, I don't want to be that woman. I want to be a woman that like wears a sundress, has her hair down, and it just like, it's fine. Like, I grew up with my grandma just like baking a cake every day. I was like, this is the kind of woman I want to be, even if it comes with a bit of a payoff of like taking supplements or taking a few months longer to get pregnant. Because to me, that's like life, and not just being so rigid and mechanical about your journey.
Yeah. And oh my God, there's so much to unpack here, because even when you're saying about, here goes my word finding mom brain. We were talking about earlier, but you're talking about how in this health and wellness space, people look at it as a sort of shame, like, well, you're healthy, you should have really great fertility, and that if you're not getting pregnant right away, that you're just not good at what you do. And it's just such a fallacy because there is a lot we cannot control. And also sometimes it just requires that good egg to meet the good sperm at the same time. If one or the other is not great, then it may not work. But it doesn't reflect your health if you are someone who takes good care of their health.
I wish it was this simple when it comes to pregnancy, motherhood. And that would make me feel a little better about promoting biohacking from a purely medical point of view. If you were healthy and you had a guarantee you get pregnant, or if you exclusively breastfed and you had a guarantee that your baby will live till 18, or that if you eat lettuce and salad and supplement, you will have a natural, easy, pain-free birth. Like, there is no guarantee.
No.
Even if you get everything right,
totally,
it's all up to the universe. So it's really hard to even give people advice because it's like, we don't really know and it's not in our control. So of course, the 20% we can control how well you eat, because that makes you feel good, and it makes you feel good. Everything else, like even struggling with fertility, makes your mindset better. It makes you feel good. That's pure fact. But there are no guarantees, and it's just like you can either stress about it so much and try to control, raises your cortisol and probably makes it even more difficult for you to get pregnant. But I'm sure you can understand, even when it comes with pregnancy or motherhood, we don't have those guarantees, so we can't make those guarantees. Yeah. And it's just doing the best you can. And what's best, my best is different than your best. What I understand as living my best life is different than my others. So it's just we just have to stop comparing ourselves to other people and trust the intuition and trust that what we do is already enough. And I think at the same time, I think your absolute superpower is never to know it all, is to finding someone who does, because in their particular area. And so I want you to explain to everybody what happened to us in Bali and how they overstimulated my follicles, because I think it's really important.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people are so nonchalant about picking their doctor, or picking their OBGYN, or picking their fertility clinic because it's the closest. Drive an hour and a half if this is so much better, because your doctor can either empower you and really make it work for you, or can make it absolutely miserable. And you can absolutely fire a doctor if they're making you feel terrible.
Yes. So, I remember this cycle very well. You guys were in Bali. You had let me know, we're going to go through treatment there. We don't want to wait. I want a baby yesterday.
Could that be? Yeah.
And remind me, did they give you a pill or injectables?
A pill.
Pill. Okay. Well, whatever the pill that they gave, Clomid. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But maybe
too high. Too high a dose, because you ended up with 6 dominant follicles. Yeah. You sent me your ultrasound report and I was like, whoa. Do not show up for your IUI. Tomorrow you need to be canceled and don't have sex, because...
Yeah. Well, so they stimulate it and they're I go to a scan and they're you have 6 follicles. We just need you to sign this little piece of paper that you're okay with twins or more. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, twins are kind of cute. I don't mind. But then I was I said to Jacob, I think we should call Sasha. We weren't really that close. I was like, let's just ask what she thinks. Yeah. And then you were like,
no,
these might not be twins.
Don't do it. Yes, because if all of these took, somehow there could be 6 babies, and then there could be potentially, theoretically, very rarely, but there could be even more, because if one of the embryos splits and creates a set of identical twins or multiple sets of identical twins, then that just sets you up for a failure in the pregnancy altogether, or a very unsafe pregnancy. If there are multiple babies in there, the risk of preterm delivery, babies being in the NICU, possible developmental delays as a result of that. Not saying that really premature babies don't make it and some thrive and do great, but that's a very heartbreaking situation to deliver your baby and have them sit in an incubator for sometimes months or even longer. I've seen babies that last over a year in there before they're even discharged. So it's really, really heartbreaking and is not without risk. I know a lot of people think, oh, twins, triplets even, this is glamorous. And if you follow those triplet accounts on Instagram, it looks like such a fun situation. 3 for the price of one pregnancy. But in the majority of cases, it doesn't really end like that.
You really open our eyes to obviously people that have triplets, what a blessing that you were able to have a healthy pregnancy and healthy babies.
Yes.
But statistically, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
And also having 6 mature follicles, I think they were 21, 24, 26 millimeters. So they were very fertile.
Very
and
mature,
doing an IUI on top of that, was very risky. And I think no one communicated. The doctor's you might just have twins, which obviously is slightly different than having 6 kids at a time. And it's super taxing for my body as well. And I wasn't ready to go through that. And I just if there's someone out there that wants to have 6 kids at a time, wow, beautiful. I'm so impressed by you. Just that wasn't me. I was I don't think my body would go through.
And I just cringe at the thought of that just because of all the medical risks.
Yeah, because we were not built to have 6 kids at a time, right?
We're not designed like other animals. We're really just meant to have one at a time. In some cases, people have 2. In some cases, they have 3. But we know that with twins and triplets, there's a lot more risk involved. And I've seen enough in my field.
I know you guys are not ready for this story, but I have heard the stories from you. I also decided to call the one friend that has twins. And she said, I will pray for you every single day to not have twins because I had a single pregnancy and twins. And it's so much more taxing for a female body that twins are amazing, but having the 2 kids separately is probably better for you and your body.
Yeah, agreed. And for all the twin moms out there, power to you. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing when you're on the other side of it, but it is always.
But I think it's just honoring them. It's so much harder for your body. So if you're a twin mom, you're a fucking superhero. How?
Yeah.
Because it's just so much harder for your body and for everything else. So it's we're not saying it to diss you. It's actually wow. That's
I don't know how you do it because I had the 2 under 2 situation and could barely survive that. So I don't know. Twin moms
your voice note today.
Yeah. I'm yelling at the kids in the background. But yeah, I mean, what about the fact too that you had this I almost want to call it circumstantial infertility, where you had been wanting to have a baby earlier.
I love that you call it that. Oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah.
Because people don't get it. It was okay, so let's circumstantial infertility.
Where you want a baby and your partner doesn't, and now you're sitting there waiting for years and you're like, what the hell, dude?
Exactly. And people are well, it's not real infertility. And I'm well, you still don't have a baby.
Longing and you still don't have a baby and you're watching your friends have babies and you just feel left behind.
Yeah.
It's 100%. The same thing.
Yeah. Thank you. Because people think it's, I understand the loss and the miscarriage and the trying. It's obviously super taxing for your body. I totally get it. But I think what brings us together as women is really wanting to be ready for a baby. And ultimately, I wanted a family, right? Jacob wasn't ready for a family and I just didn't really want to push him. But I also want to say that the fertility journey for me is when I wanted a baby at 30 and now I'm almost 38. I really educated myself on what can I do to extend my fertility diet-wise and exercise and really try to lift weights and extend my longevity and lower my inflammation. So it wasn't really I woke up at 37. I was what do I do now? And what are my options? Okay, IUI. It was more so understanding that my fertility journey has been this long because it was always at the top of my mind. And in my 20s, I just wanted to be as skinny as possible. But in my 30s, and I always say that I feel with biohacking, the goal isn't skinniness or a six-pack. The goal is healthy hormones. So you're fertile, so you live longer, so you get sick less. So just different goal in life. So I feel fertility in general has been an underlying goal of my health because I was like, fertility just is what keeps us young in a way, right? And like all the other things, if you take care of your fertility, all the other things come into place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And you look at everything in wellness from a slightly different angle. So I think that would be, I wish I had this lens when I was younger, that it's just like some things that are good for you to have a six pack might not be great for you to be fertile in 10 years or have healthy hormones. Like,
so true.
And that is like, you know, when I think, I'm like, yeah, I was skinny, but I had no period. And I didn't care because, you know, no one told me that it's like a thing. Because it was like, it's great. I don't need to, you know, use birth control. So it's okay. I don't have to have a period. And I wish more people understand that fertility, it's like, it's everything you do leading up to that and caring about your cycle.
Yeah. And your period is like a vital sign.
Yeah. Yeah. And until I was like 30, 31, I was like, great, no period. As much birth control I could do, you know, it's just like anything to like numb disassociate with that part of me, you know? And I thought it was like, oh, if I have skin issues, must be my skin, you know, and I'll take Accutane or something, you know? Like I never really understood that it's all connected.
Yeah, totally. What is the best lifestyle change that you implemented where you feel your best? Like walk us through your routine. What does a day in the life with Aggie look like?
I'm super chill. I used to do so much, you know, when I first got into biohacking. And I think and then over time, I was like, what actually moves the needle? And it's not being on my phone in the morning and the evening. Just like resetting my nervous system. I see how much it hypes me. Not having as much caffeine, because then it's like you get used to it. I hate things that I'm like addicted to because it just makes me weak, like my phone, caffeine. I was like, no, that this empowers me. So the more I can be in my own energy, that's the most important. I think single-handedly, the one thing I can't you can convince women to eat healthy, but to convince them to actually lift heavy, it's like a whole thing. And I was that woman. I was like, I don't want to look bulky. And just Pilates is just not the same. You're not like lifting to fail. So you're not building the same amount of muscle. Yeah. So it doesn't give you the same benefits for longevity, for glucose management, just for energy. And so number one thing, you know, my mom's like, now that you're pregnant, don't lift anything. Please don't go to the gym. And I'm like, Mom, I really need the muscle. I really need it. So funnily enough, like I like more of like a lower body muscle building, you know, so more my glutes and my booty and whatnot. But in pregnancy, I really struggled in the first trimester to work out. So I didn't even think I want to look hot. I was like, I don't care about the body changes. I know I will be able to like work my way back. I was just like, I just want to build muscle. And this is just arms. I just did arms because I was like, I feel so sick, but I was just doing all kinds of arms because it was somehow easier for me. I didn't care. I just wanted to build muscle, right? Because we're all like...
Yeah, because you need it for childbirth.
Yeah.
You know, I think everyone forgets you really need that muscle strength when you go to deliver and then when you're recovering with a newborn baby. It's a really hard process.
Do you know any studies between the muscle mass of a mother and the diabetes during pregnancy?
I actually don't know specifically in that setting.
Because that would be really interesting, right?
We know that... there is a decrease in muscle mass. So you're accelerating sarcopenia a little bit during pregnancy. Really, really hard to maintain and extremely difficult to even build muscle, particularly if you already have a good baseline. But, you know, in terms of for someone who is already lifting, they're definitely at a lower risk for developing gestational diabetes.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we know that there is that added benefit. And if you continue to lift weights in pregnancy, you are reducing that risk. So that is a big deal. But in terms of, I guess I was thinking of the question in reverse, like if you are diabetic, are you losing muscle like faster? That I don't really know. But if you are building muscle, and ideally, you will have built that muscle before pregnancy.
Yeah.
I see a lot of patients who are like, oh, I'll just deal with it after I have the baby. And I'm like, trust me when I say it's going to be so much harder. This is the time where you really want to focus on building muscle. I also don't tell my patients to stop working out during treatment. Yeah. I'm very anti that unless there's a specific contraindication, because you really need it.
Yeah.
You need to build muscle. It sets you up for a much healthier pregnancy, easier recovery postpartum.
I mean, that's, I don't know why. So I understand though, like if you're not feeling well.
Yeah.
And I think if there was one message, I kind of said that before I got pregnant, like prepare, you know?
Yeah.
And now that I'm pregnant, I'm like, I wish I prepared more, because I didn't expect that the first trimester is going to be so challenging.
You had it bad.
Yeah.
Can you tell, like,
I was just like,
about your first trimester?
The funny thing is, like, I only puked, like, only when I didn't eat. Well, so I'm used to eating 2 meals a day. So getting pregnant and eating every 2 hours, I was like, God, I feel like all I do is eat all the time. And all I really want is, like, I was really repulsed by meat, really repulsed by anything green. It was just literally like crackers and all kinds of cheese. So it was like feta cheese, you know, cheddar, Parmesan. I was like, that was my menu, you know. I was like a cheese connoisseur. And so I was under the impression that if I eat super healthy, once I get pregnant, I'll just continue eating my 120 grams of protein. Like, protein powder would make me nauseous. And so that lasted for three months. Now I'm like week 16 and I just had broth yesterday, and then like coming back to eating meat.
Yeah. Getting back to it.
Yeah. So my appetite came back, my energy came back. I have so much more energy at the gym as well. So you did say that it will take a second. But yeah, it was rough. Like I think between week 8 and 12, I just couldn't even get out of bed.
Yeah.
I was so tired.
You were like barely functional, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So did it feel weird, like this sort of dichotomy of, I'm so grateful I'm pregnant, but this sucks. And, almost not wanting to complain, but also it's been difficult.
Yeah. And I think because everyone warns you about what happens after you give birth and how hard it is. So in my head, I was like, oh, I know towards the end you feel heavy and uncomfortable. And then once you give birth, it's going to be challenging. But I kind of thought that women can, like, just because everyone is different and you had an amazing pregnancy and you had no issues, I was like, why no one told me that I'm just going to be dead for like a month? Like, I wasn't ready. So I didn't like prepare myself. I didn't have enough like support system. Even like my husband all of a sudden is like, I can't open the fridge because I get nauseous. I can't cook because everything repulses me. If it was up to me, I wouldn't eat at all. That was the worst thing. But I had to eat because that was making me even more nauseous. And so I didn't see it coming. So that was the challenging thing. I was like, wanted to talk all of these women. I'm like, excuse me. Why is nobody warned me? And it's funny though, because it's also like nothing that we can do per se to fix the fatigue. It's just like to surrender to it and just understand that you're building a human and that's okay.
Yeah.
Which is everything else. You think, oh, something's wrong with me. Now it's time to fix it. But it's pretty common to feel tired.
Very common.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even get it back. I wish I could say it was, that wasn't the case, but at least that was my experience. But that's what's really interesting and crazy and fascinating about pregnancy is that everyone's experience is so vastly different.
Yeah.
And my first pregnancy was really challenging because...
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The second one was easy, minus the fact that I was tired running after a toddler. But the first one was really challenging because I was extremely swollen starting at 18 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And when I say extremely swollen, I could barely fit into any shoes. It looked like I had stage 4 heart failure because my ankles and my legs were so big. Really bad pitting edema. It was really bad.
And there's nothing
I thought
you can do?
for sure that I was going to end up with some severe form of preeclampsia. So I was sitting at the edge of my seat until I was at viability, 24 weeks. And I was like, okay, if something happens now, at least the baby can survive. And so it was really scary.
It's so crazy how your brain works as well. Like that you go through all of these challenges and at the back of your head, like, I don't even care about fixing it as long as the baby is okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. It's like
I'll
with
suffer.
fatigue. Yeah. Because like with fatigue, I was like, sure, I can have a coffee. Like obviously I work for myself, so it's a big advantage. But there was this level of like, okay, I'm going to push myself and get this project done. Right. Or like have a coffee. Because I stopped having coffee, stopped having caffeine. Just didn't feel like my matcha stopped tasting good. So I was like, damn it, you took away everything. Who am I anymore? I want my matcha. But it was like, I didn't like the taste of anything. And so I was like, sure, I can have a coffee and like force myself to do, I can force myself to go for a walk. But at a price of what? You know, it's like, I was just like, I'd rather build this human for the next 4 or 5 weeks, actually allow myself to rest, chill. And I'm glad I did because I was able to like, now I feel good, right? And I wonder if it's like you can't pour out of an empty cup. I wonder if you're building a human, like it's normal that you're tired. And I feel like a lot of times women feel, I mean, or they're surrounded by people that tell them, oh, you're broken or there's something wrong. And obviously it's great to check in case you have like iron deficiency or mineral deficiency and all of these things that can happen for sure. But at the end of the day, like you literally just build a human out of your own organs and also like $100K worth of placenta in there. So like, yeah, you're literally crushing, right? So
yeah, it's a hard job.
Yeah.
It's like silent work. It's silent work. So nobody appreciates it.
Yeah. But it is one way of looking at it, that if you sell your placenta not that you should, but you know, you literally like, it's worth like $100K, no?
I don't know. Maybe some black market stuff. I don't know.
Apparently it is.
You know, we just really send it to pathology, make sure it looks good, and then it gets discarded.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, that's usually what happens.
You can capsule it, right? As well.
Yeah.
You can like sell it. And
though
like,
there's
but what's
no proven benefits
of
that.
The cord, right?
So the cord blood and the umbilical cord has like really great stem cells. So I'm a very big advocate on donating it because if everybody donates it, then we'll always find matches for different kinds of cancers like leukemias, where some kids are waiting so they can get treatment. And so donating that blood and those stem cells can literally save a life. I am not a big fan of storing it and paying premium top dollar for 99.9% of people who will not even be able to use it in the future.
Yeah, but do hospitals like discard it?
So yeah, if people choose not to donate it or they don't have any specific plans, then yeah, it gets discarded. Wow. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Which is such a waste because, you know, there's a lot of medical utility for that blood, especially. Yeah. And that was when I was a resident, I did research on stem cells and I would take some of that blood in the cord tissue and we would be able to, you know, generate different types of cells. And it was mostly animal studies. So we would, this is going to sound awful to you.
Sorry, you know, I'm burnt. This is just not related to that. This is just.
No, I was going to say this sounds awful for any animal lovers, but, you know, we would basically cause spinal cord damage to rabbits and then inject these stem cells to show the regeneration and that they would be able to be functional again. And yeah, it was really incredible work, but all very, you know, basic sciencey stuff. So nothing that is clinically applicable yet. Although there are companies doing that kind of thing, but yeah, I'm a big fan of donating that blood.
That's amazing. Yeah, especially if you're not. I wish it was a default, right? That like if we're not discarding it. If you don't want it, we'll take it.
I wish every hospital would consent every patient. And if the patient says no, you know, they have every right to decline that. But I think the people who say no don't really understand what it's actually being used for. So I think the counseling piece of it is really important.
Yeah. And I think it's like so much happening that day for you that you're like, what is it? Another thing I need to learn?
Yeah. It needs to be discussed beforehand. Like it can't be at the hospital. That's just too much. But to get back on track, actually, I do want to ask, you know, obviously you had been longing for a baby for a long time. You and Jacob broke up. You got back together. Now you start trying. Do you feel like the pressure of wanting a baby And particularly since it didn't happen right away, did it in any way negatively affect your relationship? Or were you sort of looking sometimes at Jacob's lifestyle and you're like, oh my God, you need to stop doing X, Y, Z or fix whatever lifestyle things that you're doing? Because I know I did that with my husband a lot.
Yeah. and I'm really working on it, obviously. The biggest one was like him always working with his laptop on his balls. And I was like, babe, I need those. You can take the laptop after you give me kids, like as a joke. But it was definitely like, I don't want to be like a controlling wife, you know, because it's just like, it's not super hot. And he's definitely keeping me grounded in the bioslacking realm, you know, because it's for him, it's like, there's no, he asked me the other day, so he's like, do you know what keto is? I'm like, yes, baby. So can you explain? So which one's fat, which is carbs, which is protein? And I'm like, part of me is just like, is he serious? I'm like, do you follow me on Instagram? But it's kind of cool. Like, it just reminds me how little people know, even though they eat somewhat healthy. And he is eating healthy. It's just like, he just doesn't
know the science behind it.
Yeah, doesn't really care. You know, for him, it's like, I want to have meat. And I have a piece of rice and like, you know, bread and stuff. But it's where is the balance, right? Like from one hand, it's great that the partner is trying to eat healthy. From the other, like we know people that do crack cocaine and get pregnant, and we know people that eat super healthy and can't get pregnant. So again, it's like we can control, but we can't. And so like, if this was so black and white, then maybe it would be easier to make that argument, but it's not.
How did you guys keep the intimacy alive while trying?
That wasn't.
Or was that just easy for you guys? Like it just came naturally?
Yeah, like you told us to even have sex right after the IUI.
Yeah.
So we brought you the sample from home. And then we just kept trying. I think it's just for those people, because a lot of girlfriends scared me that their husband didn't want to have sex with them while they were pregnant. That was a thing. But I'm like, you're so horny when you're pregnant. It's crazy. Like, at least I am.
A lot of women are. Yeah. Libido goes up.
Yeah. I was like,
yeah,
there is no way.
And there's no reason not to have sex when you're pregnant, unless, once again, there's a specific medical contraindication that's
what would that
specified by your doctor. Like, for instance, if someone has like a placenta previa, where the placenta covers the cervix and they're bleeding, if there's, certain pregnancy-related concerns about it continuing on, sometimes you will be ordered by the physician to hold off on sex for the time being. So there's a lot of medical complications that can happen.
You mean like penetration, but there's so many other ways.
Yes, this is true. This is true. Yeah. So, but for the majority of people who have a fairly straightforward pregnancy, even if you are dealing with a lot of nausea, vomiting, fatigue, that is not a reason to not have sex if that's something
it's
you
great.
desire.
I feel like I'm so horny that it's amazing. I love it.
Real talk though, what is the most, if any, what is the most unhinged thing that you did or had Jacob to do to try to get pregnant? Something that you knew was probably just very irrational, but you're like, I don't care, I want a baby.
The day we had our IUI, we have like a spiritual like coach, guide, whatever, great woman. And we were like, okay, I feel like our lives are so full. I run 2 companies, Jacob runs his. We're very busy and work really, really hard. And I was like reflecting on how much we say we want a baby and how much we just love our dinks life of making great money, traveling the world and not being quite ready. Is there a part of us? So we had like a little ceremony with her, and we basically were like allowing to make space for the baby, because a lot of times we think we want something, but then we self-sabotage on like an energetical level. And so that was really like, we basically said that there is enough space for it all, because there's that idea you hear from people, you'll never have sex again, you'll lose your freedom, no more traveling for you guys. And obviously it's such a big part of what we do. So we did this little ceremony with her, like an hour before coming to see you, which is maybe super woo for some, but I think it also worked. And I think it's a lot of times you have to be really honest with yourself, like how many conflicting energies you have. People say, I want to be successful, but they're scared of failure, or they want to be healthy, but they're not willing to be in the discomfort of a workout, which is not very nice, right? So we always torn everything we do, and we have those conflicting goals or energies, and just being super honest with yourself. And it's okay. Like, we immediately get shame of like, oh, if like you're a bad mom for saying that you miss parts of your past life. And I'm like, no, it's holding both. You can feel the grief of your old life and no longer being a girl anymore, and being excited to be a mom. Like, I think that's emotional intelligence, to being able to feel both things and being okay without judging yourself for feeling both, being excited that you just gave birth and missing your body and not loving the change. It's like we're just being put in this freaking impossible emotional conundrum that we just allowed to feel one emotion. If you want baby, you should be excited. Nothing else, If you want to be married, then you should be grateful. But you can be grateful for a baby and still miss parts of you.
Yeah. Or struggle with your mental health, even though you love that you're pregnant or that you finally got there. And I see that a lot with my patients who they're struggling for a long time, where treatment doesn't work the first few times, and it ends up being a much longer journey than anticipated. And then once they get to pregnancy, they're like, I feel like crap, and I wanted this, and I worked so hard for this, and I feel so ashamed that I feel like I'm like as if I'm ungrateful. And it's like, no, you're not grateful. You're just you're going through it, whether it's emotionally or physically.
Yeah, and of course, with pregnancy, you're meant to just like love it, being great,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't love my first trimester.
Yeah. And it's okay to like super, super just long for a pregnancy and a baby, but then actually hate the pregnancy itself. Yeah. It's totally fine.
Because you always have to remember that, because people are like, oh, it makes you not a good mom or whatever. I'm like, guys don't go through pregnancy. They get to be a parent and they make a great parent. So like, it's okay not to love things.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast here with me and, sharing your story. I know it's a lot to share the intimate details of your journey of trying to conceive, but congratulations on the pregnancy.
Thank you.
You're finally in the second trimester. I love a good success story where, first IUI, it worked, boom. Yeah. Easy peasy.
It was, it definitely was just maybe a little unfair how quick it was. Mm-hmm. But I feel like adding those elements all together, I feel like it, it made a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.